Hello, good evening, Matilde. How are you? Is everything okay?
Hello, good evening. I'm good. I'm good. And you?
Great, that's great. I'm fine. Thanks for asking. Let's start with today's class, okay? We have to start with a new course, you know that one. So first, we're going to join the course on Google Classroom. I'm going to send the link. It is going to be in the chat. Let's do it, please. You should have it there right now. The only difference and the reason why we have a new classwork, well, actually a classroom course, is that we need to, well, have the presentations over there, and they are not going to be mixed with the previous course. All right, so you can find the new presentations plus the new file to work our examples. So we can do something. Remember that we are working the essay. We are with the introduction, the first body paragraph. So you can go to the previous course, all right, to our A8 course, and you can copy and paste the essay that we are working on, and you can have it over here. You can paste it in this classwork file. All right, so you can be doing that, please, Matilde. Do that as I'm going to go to Pearson now, and I'm going to assign unit, actually, not unit, the model for the course A9.
All right.
All right, so as I'm doing this, and as you are copying and pasting that information, I don't know if you have questions about the previous course before starting this new one, Matilde. Let me know, please.
No, I don't think so. It's okay.
All right, good. So let's then go and start with this one. All right, I'm going to be assigning this. As soon as I finish the most important part, I'm going to start asking some details, please.
I copy just the part of why do I choose traveling with friends?
Yes, and also I believe that you have the first part, an introduction or the essay with a different structure, right, for the argumentative essay. You can also copy and paste that one. We're going to try to, well, actually, we're going to continue also with that essay, Matilde. All right, there was one for which you had an introduction.
Yeah, it was the vegetarianism part, I think it was, or
Yes, that's the one you were writing the introduction for. So just it can be that you're going to work with that essay, but you're going to decide because we're going to analyze what we need for that essay. And if you feel that you have the elements to, well, to structure an argumentative essay once again, then you continue with that one. If not, you're going to have at least the introduction that was reviewed, and you can use it as a model as well.
okay.
Okay, good. So, let's analyze. We have 8 classes, right? So we start today, Thursday, Friday, that's 2, then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus 8.
I'm
It
not.
should be
I
until
think. I think
Monday
it
the
was.
24th, and you
Yeah.
know that we have one day, so it is going to be until Tuesday.
I, I think the connection is not that well, but I
Yeah,
think it
tell
was
me,
in my
Matilda.
calendar that I'm not going to be able to have classes next week.
Okay, yes, yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
remember that one.
yeah.
So I'm not going to take then the 17, 18, that week, right? You're not going to be able
Yes,
to be with us.
yes.
Okay. Yes, I remember that one, but I didn't know. I was not sure what week it was. So it means that we're going to continue. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's going to be next month, the first, and Tuesday, the second, then. All right, without taking that into account. Or
And Also, the week of the that week, May 1st, the 2nd, and all that week, I cannot have classes
Until the 6th
either. Yes,
or the
until
7th, right?
yeah, yeah, until the
Okay.
7th. Yeah.
All right. So that one. All right. Good. I mean, you're of course you're going to be with other activities, but then we're going to have like this week with a well resting period, right? 1 week resting, at least for this course, right? But yes, okay. So it's going to be then until Tuesday the 9th. Okay, it's good that you're telling me this one. That's why I rather do this with you. So good. We should be good now, right? Because
Sorry?
we're starting now, we should be good now, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
let's analyze one more time. We're starting now. You don't have activities, or yes, it was the 17th. You don't have activities with me this week as well, right?
Yeah.
So good. We should be good to go. So I'm going to the 9. Good. So the usual 2 attempts plus the model. All right. Now very quickly um, the quizzes and the final test. And again, then Pearson is just all yours, and you can work at your own pace. All right, good. So, in the meantime, now let me ask you some questions, because now it's just the quizzes and the final test. What do you remember yesterday, besides working on the lessons that we had to cover? I believe that they are clear in a certain way because you have knowledge about it. It's just reviewing or perhaps understanding that with a grammatical point of view. But let's talk about, instead of that, of the essays. What do you remember, or well, let's call them the writing tasks. What do you remember about the two possible, or actually the two writing tasks that compose the TOEFL? What do you remember about them and the differences that you can identify in each of them?
Okay, so, well, the one that we were working on, that I have to choose like an option, like the travel thing, I prefer travel with alone or with friends. So I have to explain why am I choosing that option. And I could, well, first I say what the decision that I made, and first the first is the first supporting idea, let's say, and the second, and I don't know, conclusion, and the other essay. Well, if I'm not mistaken, it's more formal, and there's main topic that I have to develop, and again explain the reason. Like in this case, I think it was but we didn't finish, but it was the vegetarianism part, and explaining why, in this case, vegetarianism is a good option. I think we worked with another example, but I cannot remember right now. But well, one of the essays is about choosing an option, and the other one is about a main topic, if I'm not wrong.
Okay, good. Yes, we're good. We're good. And what about this one, right? Because that one, the argumentative essay that we learned at the beginning, that's going to be like a general structure that you can use, all right, whenever you have to be more formal. And in the TOEFL, all right, you have to be formal for the writing tasks. I believe it's the first one. I'm not sure right now. But the one in which you have to use information from the lecture and from the reading extract, right? Why? Because you have to use those people's words, right? And that's going to be important to support and to show that you were able to understand, and again, to structure that essay as you were able to identify and to recognize in like it's just not a one way. It's trying to go and go back, right? Showing this is saying this. However, this is showing that it's not the case, right? Actually, it's like this, right? So you're playing it right with positive and negative sides of one specific topic. And it is supported by whom? By experts that wrote the article and that are giving that lecture. right? So let's have that into account because it's important to have that idea in our minds when we are practicing for the TOEFL, right? And again, remember, a good idea is that you can try to do that yourself. You can, as you're reading some articles, I believe that you do it right as you told me, you can try to find counter arguments for that article, right? Ideas that can oppose that one, so that you can always say, however, nonetheless, on the other hand, and try to show, right, the other side, the other point of view, and to again try to look for a more, no, I don't know if not neutral, but for a balanced or for a kind of debate, right, between those two point of views that you have over there. But that's it, all right? You're right, you have those two. Actually, we have two for the TOEFL and one extra that we got to cover right with me. That is not exactly one thing that you have at the TOEFL, but you have elements that you can apply in the TOEFL as well. Alrighty, but you can use that structure for many other essays. So, and what else? For the speaking part, we were only able to see one task, and it's similar to one of the writing tasks, right? So, what do you remember for the speaking part in terms of time, in terms of organization?
Yeah. Well, there I have 15 seconds for organizing my ideas, and then I have 45 seconds to explain the topic that I chose. So yeah, I'm given two options, and I have to choose one and explain why I'm choosing that. And yeah, I remember that.
Good. And that's great. What about the way you can organize your ideas in those 45 seconds to use them in a good way? Right? Remember, if we don't have a structure, it's very, very simple to get lost or just to forget, right, about the timer over there. And you can simply show some supporting ideas for one reason, and you don't get to organize everything you see second 45 and you were not able to finish, right? That's a possible
Yeah.
situation. So what do we do to try to avoid that?
Yeah, yeah. So I have to be very careful. I have to say the idea that I have chose, but if yeah, I don't remember like the exact seconds, but I have to explain the first yeah, the first supporting idea until I don't know second 20. No, sorry, I don't think it was 2015. And I have to explain the second reason and with examples or with personal experience until 35, let's say. I'm not even sure right now, but just as an example. And then these few seconds for conclusion or just for finishing the last idea. So yeah, I will have enough time to finish yeah, my ideas and explain everything.
Great, great. Yes, you're good. You are very well working with the time. That's right. And again, the time we're given is not something that you have to, because it's impossible, right? That's an ideal, but those are just parameters, right, with which you can organize whatever ideas you get over there in order not to write, again, get lost and forgetting everything and not knowing how to continue, right? Just a template again. And you're right. Again, but if you analyze the time, the main thing would be 10 seconds was a lot because in the presentation I showed you it says 10 seconds, but it's sometimes that the introduction is very important, right? Because there in the introduction you are showing what you are deciding, right? So I believe the introduction is important. But if you get to say the introduction in 5 seconds, then the organization would be like 5 seconds for the introduction, 5 seconds for the conclusion if there's a conclusion, and the rest of the time, that would be 35 seconds, is for your explanation, right? Explaining your two supporting ideas, plus examples if you have the examples, or facts if you want to show some facts. But the idea is that 35 seconds to convince again, in this case, the listening, right, or the listener, that you are right with your decision. But that's it, right? So it's not the only task. However, time is very important there. Also in writing, but the speaking part is the part in which many people, all right, lose many points just because they were not able to organize their ideas in the 45 seconds. All right, so that's why we're practicing that. But now, before going to now the lessons we have to cover and possible practices, I already assigned everything. As you can see here, you have more assignments. That's for this model, all right? And you have until May the 9th day, all right? May
Yeah.
Tuesday, May the 9th. That's going to be the last day to finish everything. And you have the four tests, right? Three quizzes and one final exam. The final exam is going to be available on May 1st. But again, it's just available at that time. You can take it if you want that week or the following week. All right, that's the only one that is available just a few days before finishing the course. The rest of the assignments and the quizzes, well, they are available starting now, and you can take them and complete them when you have the time to. So I don't know if you have
Okay.
questions about Ben Pearson and the dates before going to our lesson.
No, I don't think so. It's okay.
All right, good. So let's then go straight into it. Now this is A9, and here again we're going to be reviewing things that we've done before, things that you might know, but again, reinforcing before we get to practice some other details. Okay, good. So this is the one we know about this presentation, but again, let's try to review, let's try to remember the differences between the past tenses that we got so that when we are structuring a story or anything in the past, we can use it correctly. So, once again, what do you remember about the tense? When you say, I was doing this, he was playing that, when do you use that structure in English, and what's the difference? Let's try to compare now these with other two structures. What's the difference with the simple past, that is, I went, she bought, and the present perfect, that is, I have gone, she has bought, we have started, right? So, what's the difference between those three? Past continuous, simple past, and the present perfect. What do you remember about that?
Okay. Well, simple past is something that happened in the past and finished in the past. Um, the past continuous. I mean, it's something that happened in the past, but it was like developing in the past. So it was something that, yeah, was developing, and but yeah, it is also the past. And you said past perfect? No, past.
And the present perfect. The present
Present
perfect,
perfect.
like she has bought, you have started.
Um, well, in this case, mm, well, it could be also she, but not the continuous form, right? Like she has been working, not just the
If
like
you can take that into account. You can, if you want, you can also talk about the present perfect continuous, but it will be the main idea, the present perfect. But you can also talk about the present perfect continuous.
Okay, so well, the present perfect, not continuous. Like she has worked, or he had, yeah, she or he or they have been. No, I was doing the continuous. They have changed something. I mean, it could be also in the past, but yeah, I don't know how to explain the difference, because in the continuous form, it's something that, yeah, it's also mixed with this developing part where I'm trying to narrate something, or like she has worked with that until something happened, or yeah, that kind of things.
Okay, yes, we're there. We're going to then make it well, we're going to try to add to the last part because I believe the past continuous and the simple past, all right? I believe those are clear. But the last one, it's also good what you're saying. But what would be the difference between, right? I went to the store and I have gone to the store. What are the possibilities when I say I went to the store, and what are the possibilities when I say I have gone to the store? I mean, or what are things that you can add for one of them that you cannot add for the next one? What are things that we can perhaps not suppose like guess about the first one and not about the second one or vice versa? What are things that are restricted for one and not for the other one and the other way around? What do you have in mind if I ask that?
Let me see. Well, I would say, I mean, if I'm mixing, I mean, if I'm explaining or maybe narrating something, I would say like, I have gone to the store. Before something happened, but I think in that case it would be better with past perfect, not present perfect.
Yeah, actually, yes, you're right there. It would be better the past perfect in that case. Because that's the
Yeah.
past of the past, right? And actually,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be able to do that with the present perfect because the rule says that we cannot mention a definite time expression with the present perfect, right? So, for example, what are the possibilities? Remember, we say then, I went to the store. We're trying to convey the idea that we're talking about a finished action, and I can give you more details in terms of when it happened, right? I can
Yeah.
say I went to the
Yeah,
store
that's right.
yesterday, right? But mainly we use the present perfect to talk about an experience, not to give details about the experience, but just to say that, look, I have done that action. And I don't care when, you don't care when. It's just that I'm telling you that I have done that before, right? So it would be if you want to compare those two. It's important because again, if in the writing task, for example, you write something in the present perfect and you add something like yesterday or 2 days ago, right? It will be incorrect. Grammatically speaking, it is going to be incorrect, right? We can only do that with a simple past. It means again that with the simple past, you can talk about history, right? You can talk about dates. You can talk about timeline, right? So anytime you talk about or you think of the simple past, try to think in a timeline in which you can, right, place the years, place the dates, and you can say this happened, right, this year, and this happened this month, and so on, right? But that's not something we are going to do, and we cannot do that with the present perfect, because the present perfect is only going to talk about experiences that we have lived, but that's it. We are not going to give details on when they happen, right? For example, I have been to the United States before. I say before, I don't say when, it's just my experience that I'm telling you, and that's the end of the story, right? So good, let's have that into account because again, it's going to be important in order to avoid possible mistakes because sometimes just a little word can can make one sentence at least incorrect grammatically speaking. All right, but good. And the past continuous. Also remember in the story what is the role that the past continuous can have. I don't know if you remember about the past continuous and the simple past. What do you remember about the interaction between those?
Yeah, especially in this narrating part, like I was watching TV when he came in. So it was something that happened in the past and something else interrupted what I was doing.
Yes, perfect. There you go. It can be an interruption, or sometimes it can be something or some things, right, that are happening as this continuous action is still happening, right? So I was playing, right, I don't know, video games, or I was playing cards when I heard, right, some noise, and my cousin, right, knocked my door, and someone, right, I don't know, called me, right? And all those things happened, but I'm not saying that perhaps they interrupted. In a certain way, they can interrupt, but I'm saying that in the context of playing something or doing something, many other things can happen, right? Because the simple past cannot be like an action that can have other actions inside, at least in narrating, right? It's not possible because it's too definite. And when you mention that, that's the end of the story, right? But when you mention the past continuous, you have the option of having other details inside that action, and that's perhaps not possible, at least again, when having a story over there. But with that, then let's have a short review then with that one. Um, Tilde, but I want to go directly to this part. All right, so let's read these two examples. You can scan the last part and you can tell me the difference between them, please.
Okay, I was running last night at 8 p.m. I ran last night at 8 p.m. Perhaps this person started this action at that specific time and finished it before 9 p.m. 9 p.m.
All right, good. So again, just to reinforce everything, what's the difference between you see here, right? What are we showing here with the past continuous and here with the simple past?
Well, that in the case, I mean, in the simple past, it occurred in, I mean, at 8 p.m. and it's, I would say it's clear that, or at least the focus is not in the process of, yeah, the running part, and in the continuous form, there's this difference between like the below part it says like the start and the end, so something that it was developing during that time.
Great, and that's the most important part because this again, it can be the starting point for this action. But here it was just a time in which this action was already happening. We don't know right the exact right starting point or the ending, but we know that it was happening over there, right? So that's the most important thing over there. We're not going through the definition. We already did it many times. We know the formula, right? The differences between some subjects and the conjugation of the verb to be in past. And this is the idea that you were describing, right, Matilde? I was studying for my exam when you called, right? An interrupting action when you called me. And again, it can be an interruption, but sometimes it's just a description, right? For example, I don't know, right? I was studying when it started to rain, but actually that's not an interruption. It's just a description, right, of what's happening also there, and I continued, right? So it can, or it cannot be, but it happened inside that context. This is also something you mentioned. One is the ongoing action, and the other one is the interrupted, right? Or the action that interrupted, or just happened right afterwards. Here we have some possibilities, right, for the order that you also know. And well, we're still describing that one. And this is again one practice that we can do. And actually, this is something we are going to do now. All right. Mm-hmm. All right. So we are both going to try to tell a story. Okay, it can be something that really happened or not. And I don't know if we're going to retell the story. I believe we're going to do it as well. But mainly, we're going to try to retell that one at least in a writing exercise. Okay, to mix that one with, well, telling something, listening to something, and writing that down. Yes, let's do it. All right, let's do it because that's going to be the last part. So first, you tell me the story. All right, I'm going to try to ask extra things actually about that one. It's going to be different interaction, and then I am going to tell you one, and you're going to write everything you remember about that story. All right. So first, you tell me one, and I'm going to try to ask for some extra details again and try to have a conversation on that. Let's have actually a timer to play also in that way. Try to think in the meantime, please, what you can tell me. We're going to have 1 minute. All right, just 1 minute. Give me a second. Let me open the clock. Okay. So again, let's have the 1 minute. I don't know if you have already that story in mind.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I tried already a paragraph about it. I think it was in one of the past exercises as well. So yeah, I have it in mind.
Okay, good. So again, in this first part, I'm just going to try to ask you some questions to get more information about it, and then I'm going to do it myself. So, let's start, please. 1 minute. Tell me your
Just
story.
yeah, just yeah, okay.
Yes. Are you ready?
Yeah, sorry, but the
In
connection it
the
was
way
not that
you.
good. I just narrated and
Okay, okay.
right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to close this one because we don't need that presentation anymore. Let me minimize this as well. And okay, we should be good to go. And actually, no, it's okay. Yes, we can start. So let's start, please, now.
Okay. Last year, I traveled to Cameroon. It was a beautiful and a very hard experience at the same time. I had two flight cancellations, so it was longer than I expected. The first day that I arrived, in my hotel room, I had a rat. And when I started working, I had a snake right next to me, a very dangerous one. And I was pulled off in order to not get bitten. They had to kill this did I say snake? It was a spider. It's a snake, and they killed the snake, and we continued working, but they couldn't take away the rats, so we have to change hotels because the hotel didn't care about the rats, and yeah, it was a very interesting and tough experience.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. So again, let me ask some questions to expand on that one. That was really interesting. And again, right, perhaps you have two different sides, right? A very good experience, but also, right, hard one because of that thing you're telling me. I cannot imagine actually being on that situation, but it seems interesting. So again, when was it? I don't know. I couldn't. I believe that you mentioned when did it happen?
Last year, October, no, yeah, September and October.
October.
Yeah.
Okay. How long were you there, more or less?
I was there for a little bit more than a month.
Okay, a month. So you were first right in that hotel or at that hotel, and actually you changed right immediately after that happened. After that right experience, how was the experience in the other hotel in which you were, or were there many hotels? What was the thing that happened after that?
Well, I went to Cameroon because of work, so I continue working. Yeah, we had a training, and the training happened for 2 weeks, and we changed locations because this little town that we were hosting the first module, let's say, it was not that easy. Let's say, this hotel situation, it was not easy to find a hotel, so we had to change to another town, and this time it was way better, and we held the training, and everything was okay.
Right, good. What can you tell me in general about the people there? We know, right? People in general, we have similar characteristics. We have everything in every place. But how can you describe people over there?
It was very interesting because they were very nice with us. I mean, the culture, the dances, it was very different. That, yeah, I didn't expect that kind of, of behavior. They have a lot of conflicts, internal conflicts. They have a war, in the northern part with an extremist group. But even, yeah, I mean, they have the situation, but it's not like interfere. Yeah, this experience does not interfere at all in their normal behavior. I mean, just in that part that, I mean, of course we cannot go there, but beside that, I mean, yeah, well, people were really nice and really caring. Yeah.
Okay, great. That's interesting. All right, let's think related to that. Because again, if you live in the United States or Europe and you talk about Latin America, or in general, you talk about Africa or the Middle East, you're always right thinking of places that are very dangerous, right? Even here, we talk about, right, again, just Latin America, that's just one thing that is well, it always brings right topics like drugs or a lot of crime, right, cartels and many things. It happens the same, right, with Africa. So,
Yeah.
what can you tell me about that? You already mentioned, right, some things that are happening, and of course, also here in Latin America, we have things happening. But in terms of safety, how can you describe safety over there? How can you describe your perception of the quality of living people there?
Hmm.
How did you feel that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it was definitely tough. I mean, we had like a meeting before because I traveled with a colleague, and both we had to have a meeting with the security team there, and they had to explain that some parts of the country we cannot visit them at all because they're at war, and but the capital, it was safe, but in certain regions, so we were asked not to leave the region of the city that we've been told to stay, basically. So it was basically our hotel, a few restaurants, so that was like the secure part. And so yeah, I mean, that part, it was tough, and they have a lot of internal conflicts. There's the English part of the country that it is actually the part that it's in war, that they are in war, and the French part that is most of the country. It's the capital and other cities, and they have a lot of conflicts because of the language reasons, because French people are like more prioritized, let's say. So yeah, it's kind of hard to explain. And they have different religions. I thought that was going to be an issue, but not really. So that was very interesting to me. So they were Muslim, Catholics, and Christians, and they were all living together, and it was not an issue at all. So that was very interesting to see as well. And yeah, I mean, it was not a safe country, as just some regions, and they had a lot of issues as well, like with water. And it was tough to see that some just across my hotel, there was a house that they do not have water connection. So they have to, like bring buckets with water. And in my hotel, I had everything. So it was, yeah, I mean, that contrast, it was very hard to see. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Matilde. Again, that's really interesting, and you got to see right that reality. And well, there are a lot of things to do right in places like that one, in many places around the world, because of what happened, right? We know a little bit about history, but we are never going to know what happened in a place unless we get to live there, right? But again, it's always very complex, I believe. Sometimes we want to fix the world, but there are so many things going on that it's really hard to get just to one point of view. So it's hard, right? Reality is very complex. So again, thanks for sharing that with me. Till then, good. Let's have that please as the first part then of this activity. Now the second part is going to be, as I told you, different because I'm going to tell you a very short story, a very simple one, but I really want you to then retell that story, but in writing. Okay, you're going to write that. You can perhaps change some tenses that I was using to make the usage of the past continuous, the simple past, some connectors also that perhaps if I don't use them, you can add them to make the sequence clearer and more understandable. All right, that's going to be the idea to have that in a writing paragraph, and you can use again all the elements that we're practicing for writing. All right, so let me start. Let's see. So 1 minute, here I go. Right, in 2012, I got to see a member of the band that I love a lot. That's Roger Waters from Pink Floyd. I got to go to Argentina, Buenos Aires. It was a great experience. I was there with one of my cousins. I was staying with him. He got to show me a lot of places over there. I think I fell in love with the culture in the sense, I don't know, again, a lot of the diversity. We cannot think of that, but there's a lot of diversity over there. Things that happen. He was telling me a lot about its story, and it was really, really fascinating. Well, I got to go to the concert. It was amazing. It's actually a night that I'm never going to forget. And well, after being there for a couple of days, I got to come back. And again, I think that that memory is always going to be with me. All right, and that's it. So let's use that information, everything that you remember, everything that you believe that it's important, and in just one paragraph, try to structure that. You can use again some transitional words to show the sequence of actions. You can use different tenses to talk about the way I felt and make the difference between just some sequences with the experiences and the feelings that I had. But again, that's up to you. You can organize it in the way you believe is better. So I don't know if you have questions before giving you the time to start with that one, Matilda. Let me know, please.
Um, no, I just have to write this paragraph, just one paragraph, right?
Yes, just one. That one will be enough. Yes. So let's have, please, again, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and we check. All right?
Okay. Where's
So I'm starting with the timer. Here we go.
uh, just I lost. Okay. I start with the. Well, I don't think there's.
All right, so I'm starting.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, you have that one.
I put it right after the traveling with friends part. Right?
Okay, yes, let's do it there. Huh? Good.
Okay.
Great. Let's be.
Okay, I think I finished.
All right, so let's take a look again at that one, and we can go to the next part.
Yeah.
All right, so let's read please what you wrote.
Okay, I just now realized that I haven't used the continuous form, but okay. Yeah. Well, in 2012, Jose Luis traveled to Argentina to see his favorite artist, Roger Waters. He bought tickets for the Pink Floyd concert in Buenos Aires and shared this experience with a cousin of his. Later on, he had the chance to walk around the city and live the culture. It was a memorable experience that he would never forget.
Okay, all right, great. I believe it's great. There's only one detail that is that come after Buenos Aires, right? That will be the only detail. Why? Because if you analyze, we are using just the same subject and it's not a complete idea after that. So we don't need that comma,
Okay. Okay.
right? So that's the only thing. I believe everything else is working great. Even the comma for Roger Waters, that's like extra. And you have two options there. Well, you have three options, right? You can have that comma, you can have a colon, because that's going to be like clarification for what's the favorite artist, or it can be a dash, right? M dash. That's another alternative. And that will be it, right? The comma that we have to drop out, and that's it. That's great. Good, Matilde. So that would be it. This is just again for practicing. We didn't get to use the past continuous as you said, but we practiced that before. It's just to, in general, use it in the well for past stories. And if we know how to do it, that's good. So I don't know if you have questions before going to the next part.
No, I don't think so. It's okay.
All right. Okay, good. So I'm going to take this out and good. Now, let me see what's the next one because I want to take advantage. Perhaps today we're not going to work on the article or on the essay, modes of permission and comparisons. Hmm. Okay, let's do something, please. So today we're going to cover these lessons. Tomorrow we're just going to cover one that is comparisons with tests, and we're going to use more time for practicing the essays that we got. All right, but let's cover please this one as well. For today, we have the 4 minutes, and that's enough just to show the main things over here. All right. So very briefly, Matilde, models of permission. I think you were able to see some of those words, but what can you tell me about them? What do you know about them?
Um, like, could I borrow this? I mean, that, or may I take this with me? Yeah, I mean, I'm asking. Yeah, I'm asking for permission to do something, to take something. Yeah.
Great. And we talked about this, right? And even you mentioned which one was the more formal word that you can use. So what's the order between the models that you can use for well, asking for permission? What's the most formal word that you have or the most formal model that you have? And what's the least formal?
Well, if I'm not wrong, I would say could. It's yeah, the most formal one, and can. It's an informal way to ask for things, and yeah, well, may, might. Well, for permission, I usually have to use may, right?
Correct. Might in this case, perhaps it's not going to be right the one, but may. Good. And where would you place may? Is it less formal than could? Is it the same, more formal, or just as can? Where would you place may?
I'm not sure, but I would say like in the middle. I mean, it could, in a more formal way, may. I mean, in can, it would be like the less formal way to ask for something.
All right. Okay, good. I think that order is good. And the first two can exchange, right? In many cases, they are going to say that the most formal, at least for permission, it is going to be a may.
Okay.
All right, but could also in many situations it is the one. But we can say that both of them, all right, without deciding if you want to be formal, could and may are always good options, right, for being formal in that case. But as you said, can is always going to be the one that you use just if you have, I don't know, right, a friendship over there, if you're talking to someone with which you have a little bit more trust. So, or if you are not in a formal situation, can is okay, right? So that will be it here. Now, these are very simple situations, right? Because it's just to learn this. We know this, so let's try to do this very quickly. I want to go to the bathroom when you want to go to the bathroom when you are in class. So, how do you ask for permission?
May I go to the bathroom, please? Or can I go to the bathroom?
All right. Uh-huh. The second one, also very simple. You need to use a pencil and you don't have one, but there's a person who has it.
May I borrow your pencil, or could I borrow your pencil?
Okay, uh-huh. And you're very tired and you want to sit down for a while, but the only place to sit down is part of one group's table.
May I sit here, or may I use this chair? Yeah.
Good. Uh-huh. Okay, there you go. Now, can, could, may, the ones that you already mentioned, we know, right, the formulas. We know that all models are always with base forms, so we don't need to go there. We know when to use them. And here we have, right? And this is kind of organized according to Pearson and many, universities. May as the always more formal, then could, then can. And then we have one more with may, right? And of course, we can always add these words to be even more polite. And we can add it mainly in two places. So by analyzing this, what are the two better places to set this word, the word please?
The word please?
Uh-huh. In these questions, you have
Yeah.
the word, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
where do you place it?
Well, at the end, like in the fourth example, or right next to the modal, like may I please, or could I, or can I please? Yeah.
Exactly, right? It can be between the subject and the verb that you have, that is next to the modal, or at the end of all that expression in question, right? And here you have two possible ways to reply for a permission, let's say, or when someone is asking for that one, right? So let's replace the two ways that we have over here, the affirmative and the negative one.
Okay. Of course, sure, go ahead. Yes, you can. Yes, you may. And the negative, sorry, you can't. I'm sorry, it's not possible to do that.
Good. Now, I have one question here, just to understand and be finishing this. Why is it not advisable to answer with could? I mean, why is it not okay to say yes, you could when answering for permission?
Well, I mean, I would say it like, if I say could, it's not, it has a different meaning. Like, yes, yes, you can't use my pencil, for example, and could, it's like, it could be confusing because it could be relating to the past. So it's like, you could, it's not like you could use my pencil in the past. It's, yes, you can, like, take it.
Yes, we're there because of the meaning, right? And when you answer with could, it's not permission anymore because could in affirmative statements it can be past, but it can also be possibility, right? And you are not giving, all right, certainty. You are giving a little bit of uncertainty because when you say could, it's like you could or not, right? Perhaps it's like saying maybe, right? So when we answer with yes, you could, it's like saying yes, maybe, but it's very different as when you say yes, you can, go ahead, right? There you give the certainty. So yes, it's the meaning, and it happens with some models, that the meaning is different in questions than in affirmative ideas, right? So good. There you go. This is another expression. We know this one. Do you mind? Right? And I have one more question here before going there. Yes. We have one more after do you mind? That is, would you mind? So what is the difference between do you mind if and would you mind if? What do you say? It can be in terms of grammar, if you know, or in terms of the structure that you need. Here, for example, this is what you need, right? The subject, base form of, well, the verb, and complement. But what happens with would you mind if?
Hmm. Mm. I'm trying to, I mean, in the same example, like, would you mind if I sit down next to you? I'm not sure.
There's one thing that changes because the structure here, the structure is just what we call, if you analyze the structure, this is conditional. But this is the present real conditional, right? And in the present real conditional, it's real because, I mean, you use simple tenses and you're describing reality in a certain way. But what happens when you have would you mind? Would is the structure of an unreal present conditional. So what happens with the verb in the next part for the unreal present condition? This same question, for example,
Yeah.
how can you ask the same question with would you mind?
Would you mind if I sat down?
Yes, good. Because in that one, again, the main difference is that here you are closer to reality than when you are with the present unreal that you can see over here, right? So this is a more perhaps not ideal, but this is farther, all right? It has a further relationship with reality, and it's also very, very formal. I would say that. So if you want to be very, very formal, not to ask something directly like, do you mind now if I sit here down right now? If you ask this, perhaps you're not talking about the exact person, but you're taking this situation as something unreal so that it doesn't feel that straightforward or that informal. All right. In this case, for that question, that's the only purpose. So that's it. That's the only thing I also wanted to show you here, Tilde. I don't know if you have questions. These are, again, possible ways to answer for the last questions, right? Not at all. I don't mind. No, go ahead. So in affirmative, we say negative answers, right? Because we don't mind. And in negative, we say just I'm sorry, and we try to explain why. So please let me know if you have questions or comments to finish today.
It was clear. It was clear.
Okay, good. So again, today we were just able to cover these two lessons. Tomorrow we are please going to work just with one, and we're going to continue working with our essays then. As always, I'm sharing the survey so that you can fill it out. And that's it. All right, as soon as you finish with that, I hope you have a good night and I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Good night. See you.
Bye bye, good night.